My man Joe, such a homie. He held down the verdict today. I hope you guys checked out the verdict on his channel. I was not able to stream at all today. I woke up. I felt terrible.
Up here we are. Look at this.
Here we are.
Cheers to
the verdict has been reached. The juror.
Juror. Let's hear a juror.
I understand that there is a verdict. You may bring the jury.
Bum, bum, bum.
We'll see his expression on his face.
The judge is like, this verdict is
what
unacceptable. Judge will hand down a directed verdict for guilt.
Defendant will rise. Madam Clerk, you may publish the verdict.
Docket number 2022 GS 15-00592, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, in the Court of General Sessions in the term of 2022, July, the State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116. Okay. Guilty.
I've never done this before.
Verdict. Signed by the forelady, 3-2-23.
Wow.
Docket number 2022-GS-15-00593, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, in the Court of General Sessions, the July term of 2022.
He's gonna be guilty in
the
everything.
State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116, verdict guilty, signed by the forelady, date 3/2/23. Docket number 2022-GS15-00595, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, Court of General Sessions, July term 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant, indictment for possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. SC Code -16-23-0490, CDR Code 0549, verdict guilty, signed by the foreperson of the jury, date 3/2/23. Docket number 2022 GS-15-00594, the State of South Carolina, County of Colleton, Court of General Sessions, July term 2022. The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Indictment for possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. SC Code 16-23-0490. CDR Code 0549. Verdict guilty. Signed by the foreperson of the jury, 3/2/23.
Don't be a criminal defendant, folks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't talk to
Madam
the
Forelady and members of the jury, if that is the verdict of each and every juror, please let it be known by raising your right hands.
And embarrassing yourselves.
All right, thank you. Any individual polling requested? Madam Clerk, you'll need to individually poll the jury according to their juror numbers.
Juror.
Number 193. Was this your verdict?
Yes, sir.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Juror 254.
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
You
Yes.
suck.
Juror 326. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Shame.
Yes.
Juror 530. Was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Your brother, a lot of people don't know this, was a witness. He was the second witness that was called to the stand. He was at the scene of the crime because he's a deputy in the Walterboro area.
That shit is crazy. Am I the only one freaking out over that?
I'm shocked too. That shit crack. That shit crack. That shit crack.
Fuck. The juror brother reason. Yes, that would be my reason. but it would be hard now because of the damn defense attorney seems okay. Sure, let him in. This is like some fucking ineffective assistance of counsel, like a motherfucker. What the hell?
Have y'all had any conversation about it? I told him, you know, that night he came in, and he had told me that there had been a double homicide. But like I was telling you earlier, he's always done so well about.
He even talked about the. This is insane. He even talked about the fucking case.
Yeah. So apparently, this juror, James, his brother was the second SLED officer, or maybe the sheriff's office officer on the scene that did such a terrible job preserving evidence and investigating the scene. That would certainly be grounds to have him struck as a juror in this case if individual voir dire had been done. Because for him to find not guilty, now he's going against his own brother's investigation. That's crazy. And that brother testified, was a witness for the state in this trial. And his brother's in the jury box. Seems just.
I'm kind of over Murdaugh, but I know you've been talking about it a little longer. So I just wanted to give you like a last chance, like Nick's like piece, you know, sure, on Murdaugh, because you've seen now one thing that came out was those jurors that went on national fucking television. And I'll say it, I'll be the guy who says it. You know, the two German Shepherds and the soy boy who were out there speaking on national television, one of which, if I'm correct, says his brother was involved in the investigation. Did you have
brother was the second witness? He was the second cop on scene and the second witness to take the stand. Now, allegedly, both sides knew of this relationship and allowed the juror in. To me, that juror should have been struck for cause immediately by the judge. Like, there shouldn't have been a question posed to either side to allow that juror in, because either way, there's going to be prejudice potential, either prejudice in favor of the brother or against the brother. And either way, it's unfair to the trial at hand, even though the potential for prejudice goes equally in each direction, because you don't know what his relationship is with his brother. The potential for prejudice exists, is significant, and directly impacts the case. And one way could definitely detrimentally impact the accused citizen. So that juror should have just been fucking gone. Like, that shouldn't have even been a question as to having them in the case. No, should have been the judge. Thank you. No, very happy to have you, but no. Like, that should have been how that went. So that was insane.
I called it, baby. I called it cold.
Was this your verdict?
What was I screaming yesterday? I was like, they're going to find him guilty, you guys.
Thank you. The jury has been polled, and the verdict is a unanimous verdict. Are there any post-trial motions?
From the state, Your Honor.
They're none from the state.
Yeah, so going to be a
We would
sentence.
just renew our previously argued motions for directed verdict, and at this on the grounds, on those grounds, we would make a motion for a mistrial and to set aside the verdict.
Okay, I'll do it.
Your Honor, based on our previous arguments, we would submit that the case properly went to the jury and the verdict is proper, and would rely on those arguments.
We've been here now 28 days, first few days of jury selection, and the remainder receiving testimony.
Just deny the motion. For God's sakes, we know what's
overwhelming
going
amount of testimony.
This is
And evidence that was presented to the jury for the jury's consideration. As I indicated to the jury during the jury charge, or the charge on the law, that this was a matter solely for the jury to determine. The court found at the end of the state's case that there's sufficient evidence for the jury to find the defendant guilty. The jury has now considered the evidence for a significant period of time, and the evidence of guilt is overwhelming.
What?
And I deny the motion.
overwhelming.
The evidence of guilt is overwhelming. That's bullshit.
What a
But
son of a...
Mr. Murdaugh, you now having been found guilty of 2 counts of murder involving your wife and your son, 2 counts of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. The burden now comes upon the court to impose a sentence. Given the lateness of the hour and the
oh God, of course he's going to drag it out another
victims'
week.
rights that must be taken into consideration and complied with under the Victims' Bill of Rights, and consider what I would anticipate to be a number of people who might have something to say regarding sentencing.
Really?
We will defer sentencing to a later date. Of course, the
Are you going to get the financial victims also for that?
Is 30 years. The maximum sentence is life imprisonment as to each count. And on the weapons charge, the sentence is up to 5 years or 5 years, which has to be concurrent if a life sentence is imposed.
Yeah.
When would you all like to reconvene for sentencing? I would like to give everyone an adequate opportunity to prepare for it.
State will be ready at 9:30 in the morning, Your Honor.
The state will be ready at 9:30.
Yeah, what do they need to prep?
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't matter. 30 years is life.
We could do it at 9:30 tomorrow morning also.
And that's it.
All right. The defendant is remanded to the custody of the Colleton County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, this is the whole ceremony. They love this. He's been in custody. It's not like this is adding anything.
Yeah, but this is the conviction part.
Yeah,
been convicted.
And he may be taken away. And members of the jury, I want to thank you on behalf of the citizens of the state of South Carolina and your fellow citizens of Colleton County.
You're an embarrassment.
You did not volunteer for this service. You were called upon by being summoned to appear, and Providence have brought you to this moment in time and these weeks in time. I know that all of you have been here at great sacrifice, particularly the juror whose job was on the line until a miracle happened, I guess, that allowed him to be able to leave to stay rather than leave after 2 or 3 weeks. But I want to thank each one of you all individually and collectively. It's not often that you're called upon to sit in judgment of the actions of your fellow man, but you all responded
like
and
idiots.
It gave due consideration to the evidence.
I don't think it's the juror's fault.
I will make no comment now as to
this was letting in way too much propensity evidence. They convicted him on everything else. This is the fear.
Even during this trial, the law enforcement have been maligned for the past.
Well, they lied to the grand jury.
Yeah.
Agent Owen, before you testified before the Colleton County grand jury, you prepared an outline of your presentation, did you not?
I did.
And in that outline, you identified essentially a narrative of what you were going to tell the grand jury, correct?
Yes.
And did you follow that narrative?
For the most part, yes.
And in that narrative, didn't you state that an expert found multiple particles of blood spatter on the shoulders and front of Alex's shirt? Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And is that what you told the Colleton County grand jury?
Yes.
However, what SLED and this expert out in Oklahoma overlooked is Agent Zapata's confirmatory blood testing, about which she testified earlier in this trial, that out of 74 cuttings from Alex's T-shirt, 0 tested positive for human blood. You completely overlooked the fact that when you did human tracing test to confirm whether it's blood, it came up negative. And wasn't that overlooked?
I had never seen that report.
You lied to the grand jury
when
to
did
get
you
us
see the
here.
report?
Damn sure lied to the grand jury.
The investigation and having a father, for the most part, on his deathbed, I could imagine, I really
But then
can't
go
imagine.
kill your family? That doesn't make any sense, Judge. I'm sorry.
But I know it had to have been quite a bit going through your mind on that day. But amazingly, to have you come and testify that it was just another ordinary day, that my wife and son and I were out just enjoying life.
Well, they were.
Then you saw that on the video.
Not credible, not believable.
But you saw that on the video. You didn't have to believe him.
You can convince yourself about it, but obviously you have the inability to convince anyone else about that.
Yeah, that's true. You can't convince anybody else about it.
Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
If you made any such arguments as a lawyer, you would lose every case of that, like that. Cases you will never have an opportunity to argue anymore. Perhaps your own, as you sit in the Department of Corrections.
So much hate.
Yeah, this guy, he doesn't
feel the
hate. Anything further?
Yeah, he hates this guy.
All right, Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh. I sentence you for a term of the rest of your natural life.
What a shocker, right?
For the murder of Paul Murdaugh.
That just shook him to look at him.
Whom you probably love so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive.
Damn.
Under the statute involving possession of a weapon during a violent crime, there is no sentence where a life sentence is imposed on other indictments.
Yeah, there's no sentence on anything else. So 5 years, like double life plus 5.
And you are remanded to the State Department of Corrections.
Consecutive life sentences, not even concurrent. Consecutive life sentences.
Hardly matters.
If they kill you and bring you back, you still got to serve an extra life sentence. That's wild. Consecutive life sentences.
Oh, there was a state AG was in the courtroom.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have no idea if Alec Murdaugh is innocent. Whether or not he's innocent is not the legal question. The legal question is whether or not the state proved him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Alec Murdaugh as a human being doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care if he goes to prison for the rest of his life or not. And he almost certainly will for the financial crimes. Yeah. But I care a lot about the process. I care a lot about due process of law. And this was not a just prosecution.
No, not at all.
This verdict terrifies me. I don't know if I'm more afraid of prosecutors out for a win at any cost or the collective lynch mob salivating over their manipulated view of the facts. They were out for blood. Yes, they were. And it should terrify you.